How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another VTI Legends Corner. I am your host and officer, Orange Leader 398. Now today, we're going to be talking about something special. We're going to be talking about the Rise of the Empire Territory Battle. Now, for those who are kind of newer to the game, who might not know a lot about it, it is the newest territory battle where instead of having a light side and a dark side like Hoth and Geonosis, this is a territory battle that you can run in both slots, both light and dark slots, and it includes the dark side, the light side, and a neutral zone. So you are able to use all of your characters in one TB at a go. If you just unlock Supreme Leader Kylo Ren, and you're doing ROTB or ROTE, you don't need to wait to play with him in territory battles. You can use him right away, which is very nice. Allows you to use your entire roster, which I really enjoy that fact. But the point of today is we're going to talk about our plans for this upcoming event. So let's go ahead and bring you over to it. So above me, we have an interactive map. In VTI Legends, we haven't done it yet. This is going to be our first go at it here in a couple days. When it comes live, we hit the 200 million GP entry requirement. So we're going to be working on trying to get the furthest we can and maximize our stars. In order to do that, we are going to use a term called preloading. Now in territory wars, that's a very negative thing. But in territory battles, it's a very positive thing. So, off to the left here, I do have our plans. And these are plans that anyone can follow. If you want to add up the math, I am basing the fact that we will, at most, have 183 million GP. Just because, as an officer, when you plan for something, you gotta plan on something not working. Something's not gonna go right, maybe someone doesn't deploy or do what they're supposed to do. So you always bank on something happening. It's always better to aim high, but not as high as you can go, and hit the target. But don't aim max and then hit lower, because your guild's going to be like, hey, we're supposed to get so many stars. Why do we only get this? And then you have to play the scapegoat game. Well, so-and-so didn't show up in this, and so-and-so didn't show up in that. So if you're an officer listening to this, do yourself a favor. Yeah, you have to be 200 million to get in there, but drop it a little bit and see how far you can go. I did the math for my guild, 183 million GP. If you do it right, you can get 11 stars and the chance at the Reva mission if you have someone ready to take on that third sister. So, let's go ahead and start to look at the planets. As you can see above, you have a dark side route with various planets ending with the Death Star. Let's not even look at that GP yet. You got your neutral or combined planets here in the green, and your blue is going to be your light side planets. Now, early on guilds who are 200 mil or right around there, even probably around the 260, you're going to want to try and preload. So let's go ahead and take a look at our first planet here. We have star requirements for Corellia. In order to get 3 stars, you need 238 million GP. Now, for some of you out there, 100% participation, absolutely fine, go for it. But for those of us in VTI who are just over that 200 million, we're not quite at that recommended. We're at the required, but not the recommended. It is going to be important that we preload, because we are not going to be able to get that third star just by deploying. We don't have enough. And you might be thinking, well, what about the combat missions. Are they going to help? Well, look at the rewards at the bottom of this here. First wave is 100,000 points. Second wave, 200,000. So complete 5 of them. Yeah, that's 1 million. But when you're sitting at 200 million, that's going to require at least 38 people to get 2 stars. And for a guild that small, that's tough. Especially when the requirements in order to get bonuses or to shut off their bonuses are very steep. A lot of earlier on guilds aren't going to have enough R5 of all of these in order to really shut them off early on. So my plan that I have set in place for the 11 stars is based solely on GP of the guild and just straight up deploy. There's going to be a few people in the guild who can try the missions, but this plan is based solely off of deploy. There's no relying on missions. There's no relying on RNG. It is straight up, if you can deploy, you can get it. So the first plan is we are going to preload Corellia. 111 million points to it. Leave out the 750,000 or 750,000. You can get maybe a couple CMs to get you a little closer, but we're going to leave it at that. Just 111 million, leave it. Then in that same phase, once that is done, you can go ahead and start putting whatever is left into Mustafar. You do that, you're going to give yourself a little buffer, make it a little easier down the road. Obviously, some CM missions, some special missions as well. If you're a guild that's more dark side heavy, you know, you can get some things done as well. You got some suggested teams here thanks to the website. Links for it will be down in the description below, so don't worry. If I don't show all of these off, you'll get to see it. You can check it out yourself. Great website, very helpful, vital to me making these plans. So, all that we have left, which I only account for 183 million, is the 72 million. We are going to deploy that here, get us closer to being preloaded and ready to go. So that's basically phase 1. Deploy to preload Corellia, deploy to preload Mustafar. If you have the ability to do a CM or 2, why not throw it in there? Deploy it can't hurt. It counts at deploy anyway. But if you're not ready and don't have a suggested team, such as these here, or as here in Corellia, Omnis are preferred if you do Rolo lead instead of CLS or Finn. Special mission if you have Afra, required there. Java's required there. So, but deploy. If you can get everyone to deploy and buy in, you can actually be a lot further ahead. So phase 2. This is where we are going to go ahead and finish off Corellia. This is where we are going to deploy the rest, which is only about 127 and a little over a million. So round up to 128 million. Boom. 3 stars. Don't have to worry about completing a single CM. If you do a couple CMs, you know, take a little bit off the deploy. Not a big deal. Throw a little bit back here in Mustafar to get this one preloaded and ready to go. Because that's going to be important to eventually 3-star this next wave. But this is phase 2. We are preloading it. So if we get our deploy right to that 116 million, we might have a little bit left over. It's only going to be less than 20 million. We are going to go over to Coruscant. Now, we ignored it completely first phase. Don't want anything to do with it. Don't want to move any deploy here. But this is where we're going to then have some deploy here. Because we're going to have a little left over. We don't want the Star Mustafar yet. So we're going to come over here, and with whatever little we have left, like I said, maybe 15, 20 million. I believe on my screenshot here I have about 11 million. A little over 11 million. And you're going to deploy and start to get this one ready. So already, Phase 2, we have 3 stars in Corellia. We have preloaded Mustafar ready to go. And we've started on Coruscant. So, Phase 3. This is where we are going to go ahead and get our next 3 stars on Mustafar. It's already preloaded. We got to the 116 million points. It's only going to take 132 million to get us that third, all the way to the 3rd star. Straight up deploy. And then we have Felucia open, but we're going to ignore that this phase. And the last 50 million of our deploy is going to go to Coruscant. Now, Coruscant is slowly going to get some loving here. It's Phase 3. We're still working on it, but we already have 6 stars now. 6 stars from our 2 first planets. We got the 3 in Corellia in Phase 2. Phase 3 here, we got another 3 on Mustafar. So that's already 6. That's pretty good. So with that extra 50 there, we have about 60 to 70 million deploy here already. And, you know, obviously, once again, CM missions can be completed in those areas to help boost it a little bit, but it's going to be very tough. So don't expect to get these easy wins, okay? Now, Phase 4. We have Geonosis unlocked, we have Felucia unlocked, and we still have Coruscant. Phase 4, we are going to finish preloading Coruscant. Because like I said, we have about 70 mil in here. Probably about max. On my notes, I have about 62, 63 million, assuming 183 million deploy. It would be possible to 3-star it a little before in this phase here, Phase 4. But I don't see the need to push it. That's going to require very high amounts of deploy. I would rather, on Phase 4, preload this. Just in case you miss some deploys elsewhere, some preload elsewhere, and you're not quite as high. Plan on preloading this one in Phase 4. So we're going to get Coruscant up to that 116 million mark. Get that ready to go. Now, what do we do? Because that's only going to be about 50 to 60 million GP. What do we do with the other 120, 130? Well, what we're going to do is, if you're wanting to get to Tatooine eventually, we are going to throw what is left on Felucia. Because that needs 148 million points. So we throw 129 there. We get that one ready to go. We have Coruscant ready to go. And Geonosis ignored. Not going to worry about it. So we got preload, ignore. Phase 5. Now what we're going to do is what we've done before. Coruscant, perfectly fine preloaded. Boom, go in, get your 3 stars. It's 132 million. Put it in the bank. You know, it's there. That should be easy money. Because if you're a 200 million guild, 132 should be easy. Now, what we're going to do is, once again, if you want the Reva shards, you are actually going to, at this point, put in about 20 million and put 1 star on Felucia. 1 star here. Because that means in Phase 6, you'll have Tatooine unlocked, and anyone who has Tatooine unlocked and has the Relic 7 Grand Inquisitors and their Inquisitorious minions, as I like to call them, you'll be able to do the mission and potentially get Reva Shards for your guild. This is very important if you have people who are there. So, Phase 5, you will be getting that 1 star here with about 20 million. You are putting in 132 million here for 3 stars. And then, whatever is left, which, according to my notes, at the 183 million, is going to be about 32 million. You are going to start putting that on Geonosis. Because that's everything now that we've covered. We are already up to 10 stars with 183 million. You have all 3 starting systems all at their maximum 3 stars. You have 1 now in Felucia, which is going to open up Tatooine. So Phase 6, we have Geonosis with about 32 million. Tatooine, which is Bear, and you have Baraka, which is Bear. So your best bet is with what you've already put in towards Geonosis. You are going to try and get as close as you can to 2 stars. According to my notes over here to the left of the screen, my guild is going to end up with 183 million. Mind you, it's going to end up about 23 million short of a 2nd star. Now, once again, things happen, life happens. You know, if we don't get 100% deploy from our guild, that's going to be sad and disappointing. But at the same time, life happens, you know. Accidents happen, people find out news, and they just don't feel like playing, you know. Life is more important. So if they can't deploy, this is why we leave this gap. Because mathematically, if you do calculate out the 200 million, you could potentially be on your way close to that 3rd star. Maybe not quite there as just a straight 200 million guild, but you'd be pretty darn close, and that would be 12 stars. But for us and our planning purposes, 183 million GP, that is going to get us 11 stars. Which, for a guild that small, as long as we can follow the plan, that is really darn good. And I'm hoping that we can get some of us to step up, get those combat missions done and completed, and have a good opportunity to really push forward and to really be successful at this TB. I think it's a lot of fun. We get to use our entire roster, and we're going to get some pretty darn good rewards. Some get 3 out of this, so I'm very excited. So, that is our game plan. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. This was a lot of fun. Maybe in the future, as plans change, maybe I make more videos like this. We'll see. But thanks for stopping out. I really appreciate it. You guys have yourselves a great night. I'll see you on the battlefield. Peace.